Welcome back to the Realm Report. It's been an interesting month as we've had a lot happening in the old world while also getting our first glimpse at what we can expect from the 1.20 update. So, let's jump right into the topics. First, I need to correct an error that was brought to my attention shortly after the last edition of the Realm Report went up. When discussing Plegue's build competition, I incorrectly stated that it would be centered around Japanese-inspired builds. Obviously, it's completely ridiculous to think that an area that's been exclusively focused around a Japanese theme would be looking to add more Japanese-themed builds. The theme for this competition was actually European mansions. Competition was originally set to run from October 8th to the 23rd, but given the scope of these mansion-style builds, Plegue decided to extend it into November. Voting for the competition will be held sometime after it concludes on November 6th, so keep an eye out for details on how that'll be handled. Following last month's edition of the Realm Report, which discussed Zulu's manipulation of Princess and attack on the shopping district, Plegue held an emergency meeting at the A&W headquarters to address the growing tension within the group. During the meeting, it quickly became apparent that Plegue had been too preoccupied with poorly managing build competitions and lacked the focus necessary to run an evil organization. It was clear to everyone, except Plegue, that a change of leadership was necessary, and it was determined that Princess and Zulu would face each other in a one-on-one PvP battle, with the winner becoming the new leader of A&W. Unfortunately, the date for the match would need to be delayed to the following month, as the timing of this decision just happened to coincide with Zulu's wedding, which kept him away from the truly important issues at hand. So with the match pushed back to November, Princess began looking for other ways to occupy her time. Now, it's established fact that Princess is one of the laziest oldies when it comes to overworld travel. From her perspective, it's impossible to get anywhere without the use of an elytra. She's complained of server lag while flying more than every other person in the old world combined. So when she found herself with little to do at the start of the month, she got it in her head that she would attempt to create a redstone teleportation device that would allow her to instantly travel hundreds, if not thousands of blocks. Over the course of several days, she assembled 2 teleportation pods, and after seeing that the device would transport basic blocks, she decided to test it out on herself. But unbeknownst to Princess, one of the frogs that had escaped the capital in the aftermath of the Frogdemic managed to sneak into the teleporter with her as she was testing the machine. Initially, Princess believed that the experiment had been an enormous success, and had actually granted her new abilities such as being able to hop higher than she ever could before. But as the days passed, she began to notice changes in her skin that were much less desirable, and it wasn't long until she discovered the horrifying truth about what had happened. In an effort to keep her transformation a secret, Princess bribed several oldies into claiming that her change in appearance was nothing more than the result of a bet she made to see who could mine the most gems in the span of an hour. For a while, this seemed perfectly reasonable, but all throughout the month, I began to notice changes in her behavior, including an unusual desire to keep her distance from me when she'd typically be harassing me on a daily basis. After she became mayor of the capital, I scheduled a meeting at her base to discuss some future plans. In addition, I brought Mama along as well to see if my concerns over her change in personality were warranted. At first glance, it seemed as though the base had been abandoned, until we started hearing strange noises emanating from her storage room and decided to investigate. And it was at that point that the terrifying reality of the situation became very clear. Princess had fully transformed into a giant frog, and as I found myself boxed into a corner with no means of escape, it seemed very likely that this was how things would end for me. But right at that moment, Mama spotted one of Princess's missing bows, a bow which was believed to be lost many months earlier.
Where's it at?
And with a single arrow, she was able to put Princess out of her misery. And just like that, Princess was gone. The constant harassment, the contraband, the daily complaining about lag, my nightmare was finally over. But then I remembered that this is Minecraft, so she just respawned. But with all of that said, next month, Princess and Zulu will be battling each other in a one-on-one PvP match for leadership of A&W. This will be held at Chozo's Arena in the Nether Colony. More details are to come, so keep an eye out for the event. On October 22nd, we held an auction in the capital. We had a lot of interesting stuff available this time, including things like mystery boxes and map art. We tried out a new method for payment distribution with this one, as that's previously been the most complicated part of every auction we've held so far. Thanks to everyone who came out and participated in the auction. I want to take a moment to address someone in particular who has been a big part of the Realm Report, and that's Upton. Following the first edition of the Realm Report, Upton reached out to me with the idea of becoming an on-screen weatherman who would often find himself in particularly dangerous situations. The idea kind of evolved from there and became a running segment in every edition from that point on, quickly becoming one of my favorite things about making these videos each month. Typically, Upton and I would meet with an idea and figure out from there how we'd go about filming it. Some were definitely more difficult to film than others, but each were fun to make. But this month was a little different. When I headed over to his ship in the capital, it was gone. And nearby I found a sign that simply read, "Gone sailing." So at this point in time, it's unknown when or if Upton will return at some point, but for now I'd just like to thank him for his contributions to the old world and wish him the best. We saw a pretty big shakeup in terms of mayors this month. With both Upton and Uptown's Girl relinquishing their mayor roles, this opened up spots in both the capital and the Dome. As the current longest serving mayor, Princess transitioned from the island over to the capital. This left the island mayor position available for the first time since July of 2021. Mum Sparkle C, who joined the server back in February, took over the mayor role for the Dome, while Baby Girl, who joined this past June, became the new mayor for the Aquarius. Finally, Forever Silent, who also joined the server this past June, took over the mayor position for the island. This means that all mayor positions have officially been filled, and it'll be great to see what happens with some of these areas over the coming months. Minecraft Live was held on October 15th, and we got our first glimpse at some of what will be coming with the 1.20 update. While there wasn't a ton revealed, there were a few new features mentioned, and I thought it may be interesting to discuss some ideas for what they could mean for the old world when they're eventually released. The first thing of note are some of the new sign options. I'm expecting to see these signs implemented into shops all throughout the shopping district, as they seem tailor-made for those style builds. Another cool use would be to provide directions to players attempting to navigate some of the more established parts of the old world. There have been attempts at making street signs in the past, but overall these new ones seem to have a more aesthetically pleasing look. Functional bookshelves are something I've been hoping we'd get for a long time, so I'm glad we'll finally be seeing those introduced. I'm thinking these could be heavily integrated into builds like the library, and further connect the wiki and the library in the way that it's always been intended. A new mob will be coming to the old world in the form of the camel. What makes this mob interesting to me is that it will allow two people to travel over land in any direction. It's a form of travel previously limited to the use of boats and ice paths. I can almost see this becoming some kind of future service where Oldies can transport others to specific locations around the old world while they're AFK. I've also seen discussions about how we could utilize the camel in new team events. So if anyone wants to take on a project like that, it could definitely be interesting. Bamboo is also getting more functionality than ever before, but personally that doesn't interest me too much, although I could see us incorporating some sort of river raft racing into a future event. Again, these are just some ideas that came to mind based on the limited information we've received so far, but I'm interested in hearing everyone's thoughts as well. While I was hoping that we'd see more from the event itself, including the title for the next update, it looks like they'll be staggering more information about the update over the coming months. This month's event was the Battle for the End 2. We made an attempt to increase the difficulty a bit over last time by limiting gear to only diamond armor with no enchantments. Unfortunately, it was still incredibly easy, and we quickly defeated the dragon with no trouble at all. The next time we do one of these events, we'll be looking for ways to make it much more of a challenge, so if you have any ideas, be sure to let me know. Following the event, we held the second annual costume contest. Chozo won the contest for the second year in a row, and Giggy was the runner-up. Next month, Chozo will be holding a build competition at the Nether Colony. Obviously, given the setting, this one will be more horror-inspired. Everyone's encouraged to use darker colors and spooky themes. Prizes for this one will be 2,500 gems for first, 1,200 gems for second, and 750 gems for third. The competition will begin on November 9th and run until the end of the month. Speak with Chozo, and he can help you get set up. Next month's event will be a TOW tour. This will be the first of 2 qualifying matches leading up to the Old World Open 2023 in July. I encourage anyone who has yet to participate in an event to join us at the golf course for some Ender Golf. Given the typically long run time for these events, we'll be starting an hour before our usual event start time, so be sure to mark yourself as interested in the event if you plan to attend. And that wraps things up for this edition of the Realm Report. See you on the server.
We got to move the item frame too.
Got a what?
You got to get the item frame off of it too.
Why?
What?
Oh, it won't let me.
You
You
gotta
have
put
to
the
have
map
the
in
item frame.
Oh, what am I
there.
thinking? What am I
Okay,
thinking?
Professional
Sucks
Minecraft.
getting old. That's right.